Every year around this time, I'm either an elf desperate to spread the magic of Christmas, or I am a Scrooge. There is no in-between. So I thought this year it may be an interesting experiment to see how many Christmas-related books I can read before I become the Grinch. Let's find out, shall we? Okay, so the first book I'm going to be reading for this video is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan, which follows a guy called Bill Furlong, who is a coal merchant, as he's just going about his life a few days before Christmas in a small town in Ireland. So I have read all 110 pages of this book, and I would have to wholeheartedly recommend it. I do not think it's perfect by any means. I'm not one of these people that loves this book, because there is a crowd that absolutely adore this book. I'm definitely not part of it, because I do think there was one big glaring issue with this book, and that is that the main kind of subject matter, the main point, is so subtle that I only understood really what the author was trying to do. I mean, I understood in context, just based on things that I know already, but I only really understood the main point of the book after reading an author's note. It really wasn't that clear, and I know I have to take into account that this is a 100-page book, but I'm sure there was a way that it could have been done better, and I know there's an argument that you shouldn't make books too on the nose. I know that annoys people, and it does sometimes annoy me, but I think in this case it needed to be a little bit more explicit. Just a little bit more. But aside from that, it is very atmospheric. A Bruegel painting is definitely how I would like to describe this book. I think the cover is a very good choice, because this is what this book feels like. There's a scene where Furlong and his kids are making Christmas cake, although I think it's with the wife. Anyway, they're making Christmas cake, and the whole thing does feel very atmospheric. So, kudos to Claire Keegan for that. I think I'm going to give this a 4, but it's like a low 4, it's like a 3.75. Which is the rating that so many books have ended up at for me this year, and it's just kind of annoying. I would like to read some more by this author, because I think she is quite talented. I think this is perfect for curling up around the fire and with a hot drink, you know. It's one of those books. It's good. I liked it. I would recommend. But I don't think it's, like, incredible. I think it could have done a bit more. So, I'm actually quite excited because tomorrow my dad and I are going up to London for Christmas shopping, which is something we do every year, and I always have a great time, and I thought this time I would take you along with me. So let's go buy some presents, and pray it's not too busy, which it will be. It's London at Christmas time.
Good morning, everybody.
Oh look, the book at a library. So next I'm going to be reading The Silent Stars Go By Sally Nichols, which is following Margot, who is 19 in 1919, interestingly enough, and she has a 2-year-old child, and since the father went off to fight in the war, he has no idea. And we're following her as she returns home for the Christmas period, and of course, Harry, the father of her child, is there. But there's a whole drama, because the child has actually just been taken in by the mother of Margot, claiming that it's her child rather than Margot's, because obviously that kind of situation, pretty bad to be in. But especially back then, I actually really liked this book for some reason. I think, although it was written quite simply, it was a case of simple and effective. Because you feel the strange emotions that Margot does, because she wants to spend time with her child, even though in the eyes of everyone else, like, it's not her child, apart from the people that know, obviously. So there's some complicated emotions there, like, she doesn't know what she's gonna do about Harry. It's all very complicated, but you feel the characters, you understand where they're coming from. Also delves into a little bit about the war impact, but particularly the war impact on the soldiers, because obviously like that's a huge thing. I mean, going to war leaves you with PTSD. I think that it created a quite accurate picture. I mean, I'm not a historian, but I think it created an accurate picture of what it would be like, kind of like the Christmas after the war finished. I know this author writes a lot of historical fiction. I think she's got one about the suffragettes, which is set kind of around this time period. So I would read more from her, because she's an author that I have been wanting to try for a bit, and I'm glad that this video finally pushed me into reading this book, because it had been on my radar, like, probably since it came out, which was like, oh my goodness, 4 years ago. This is YA, but it feels a bit more mature. I mean, probably because she's 19, but it's still definitely YA, because it gets mature, but not too mature, like, not too mature that a child wouldn't be able to read this. So yeah, I would recommend this. I think it's quite good. I do think it's quite good. I am having so many filming blunders at the moment, I just do not even want to talk about it. Adding to my list of problems, I read the first chapter of this book and I already want to DNF, because the writing is just grating on me. Maybe I should stop reading YA. It's actually hard to describe. I feel like I keep saying that about books. It doesn't feel real. That's such an ironic and ignorant thing to say. It's a book. It's not real. But it doesn't feel real. And I'm being so presumptuous. This is literally the first chapter. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna push through. And if I continue to not like it, then I will just DNF. I was hoping I wouldn't become the Grinch until the last book, but I feel like we're getting into Grinch territory. Oh my goodness. I should like this, right? Because it's about keeping a bookshop open. And we all know how much I love to hang out in bookshops. I'm gonna read some more and we'll just pray. We'll just pray to the book gods that I do not start developing green fur. So I decided to DNF Love in Winter Wonderland, because for me, the writing is the first barrier, and if I don't like the writing, chances are I'm probably not gonna like the book. Because otherwise I would be forcing myself through this, only to give it like a 1 or 2 star, and I just, with the threat of me entering a reading slump, and I just don't want that for myself at this moment in time. This book really has the new book smell. I didn't even realise it was possible to get even darker, because I swear this is worse than the other week. Because I'm filming like in the exact same place at the exact same time, and it looks like this, like what's going on? Anyway, I think I'm getting ill. I mean, it wouldn't be a Christmas video without me getting ill, to be honest. Like, it's the whole way we do things around here. I always get ill like 10 days before Christmas. I mean, it's 15 today? I don't know what day it is. My throat's already going. I'm just praying I can get through the stuff I need to do before the illness takes hold. I mean, I was going to post like a Christmas video last year, but I didn't because I got ill. I had an ear infection, which was just lovely and messed up all my plans. That better not happen this year. This would send my French teacher into a frenzy. The accent's on the wrong letter. Should be on the I. Hi, I'm currently experiencing the worst brain fog of my life. Even worse than the brain fog that I experienced in April this year. So this is all great. I can't spell properly. I am slightly losing my mind. Anyway, I've got this lovely cocktail of chemicals here for me to drink, which probably isn't that good for me. I mean, it's not actually a cocktail, it's just squash. I mean, technically, water's just chemicals, but water's allegedly good for me, and this probably isn't. Anyway, I need to digress. This book, I need to tell you what it's about first, before I tell you what it is that I'm liking and not liking. This is about Charlotte, who is this, musician, and she gets jilted at the altar, 5 years before the book takes place. And one of her friends convinces her to spend Christmas in Colorado with her mother, and guess who is also there? Brighton, the person that jilted her at the altar. The problem I'm having with this book is it feels like the reason why their relationship didn't work out in the first place could have been solved by a discussion. Because without giving away too much, Brighton kind of feels like Charlotte is getting to live her dream life, and Brighton is kind of feeling a bit left out of the equation. So it does feel like there's a bit of jealousy, but also there feels like there's quite a lot of misunderstandings, because I feel like if Brighton had said to Charlotte that, okay, I'm not really feeling like this is good for me, I feel like they could have resolved it. But instead, they didn't talk for 5 years, and we got this book. It's fine. It's totally good for my state of mind right now. It's kind of feeling a bit similar to Kiss Her Once for me, which I read last year. I don't know, the writing feels kind of similar, the atmosphere feels kind of similar. Maybe the font's even similar, because this font looks kind of familiar. I don't know. I'm just putting comparisons where there doesn't need to be comparisons. I will keep you updated, because I'd like to finish this tonight so I can move on with other videos. It's enjoyable, I just don't think it's doing anything revolutionary. Okay, so I finished Make This Season Bright, and I think I'm going to give it 3 stars, or whatever I gave Kiss Her Once for me. I just realised I'm not recording the audio. That's a bad thing, let me change that. Not that I think this was a bad book, by any means, I just personally think that a few things needed to be changed in order for me to enjoy this. First of all, I think we needed to see more of their relationship in the past and the reason why it didn't work out in the first place. I feel like the reason needed to be a little bit stronger than something that you could just work through in a few conversations. I think in order for me to like a romance book, I need the 2 main characters to have a really strong emotional connection, and I just didn't really feel that. If you want to read it, I'm not gonna say don't, you know? I mean, it's a 3-star, I tend to recommend 3 stars. But that's that one. So next I read Wrapped Up in You, which was pretty unremarkable, really. It's by an author that's written books that I have previously enjoyed, and sadly this was her worst book, in my opinion. So in this one we're following Will, who is a famous actor and returns to his small British town for Christmas, where his childhood best friend is also, and I think you could probably predict what's going to happen next. The biggest problem I have with this book is the fact that it's so very, very short that you can't really establish a connection that easily, and that did make the book suffer. Had it been full length, I think maybe it would have been better, but I don't necessarily think this kind of story is something that I'm going to love, because I'm not really a big fan of fame in books, and although that didn't really take up a huge part of this story, I just don't really look for that kind of thing in a book. I feel like it's often portrayed in the same way, fundamentally, but let's not dwell on that for too long. It was fine, I'm not really going to think about it that much, ever. Next! You join me while wrapping up presents for my family's Pass the Parcel with Forfeits game. I'm going to treat you now to a lovely time-lapse of me struggling to open up presents.
Everybody knows Christmas is coming. Thank one and all. Time to hang your stockings, baby, and have yourself a ball. People
Jet, really? Really? So at this point in the video, I was having a bit of a crisis. There have been no real standout books from this video, and I just wanted to keep on reading Christmas books, because I was becoming more and more Grinchy by the day. Well, this video is certainly having some effect, because I feel really grumpy. Anyway, I didn't read with my eyes, but I listened to the audiobook of Love Like Farms by B.K. Borison, which is about Stella, who owns a Christmas tree farm. It actually takes place from Halloween until kind of like December, Christmas time. Just following her, and there's this influencer that comes down, and she desperately needs this visit because the influencer is hosting a competition, and the winner of this competition wins like $100,000, and goodness knows she needs it because the farm is falling apart, more or less. She does not have enough money to keep it going, really. So, for some ridiculous reason, when she's filling out this form, she pretends that her best friend is actually her boyfriend, and she has to fake date him, and it just seems... it's a very ridiculous setup. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, I know why, because she was attracted to him, but I know this is another one that people love. I know they like this author, and I would have to say that I get why people like this book. It wasn't personally to my taste, but that's kind of the only criticism I can give it. Sure, yeah, it's your typical run-of-the-mill romance book, but I would be convinced to read another book in this series, because there were some quite interesting characters. Like, the character work was decent, actually, which was surprising. I didn't know what I was expecting listening to this, because it's a kind of TikTok-y romance book, and they're always very hit or miss, with more emphasis on the miss part. But yeah, this was not bad, and I think I'm going to read one more book for this video, Whiteout, or once again I'm going to listen to the audiobook. Audiobooks are reading, but like, I'm literally not reading it, because I'm not staring at the words with my eyes, but it still counts towards my reading goal. Like, yeah, that's all I have to say about that one. I am going to a pantomime tomorrow, so I will be inserting some clips in there for some B-roll, because I feel like we've been lacking a little bit of that at the moment. So yeah, I will see you when I have something to say about this book. This is a short audiobook as well. It's only like 7 hours long, so it shouldn't take me too long, hopefully, because I would love to get this video up before December 25th. I currently have a cold at the moment, so if I don't sound quite right, that is why. Anyway, I finished Whiteout, and I had quite an interesting experience with this book, because it started out being really good. I thought the characters were distinct and interesting, but as it went on, I started losing track of how the characters were all connected, because it's kind of like a series of short stories about different people in a snowstorm in Atlanta. The problem I had was these stories were becoming like quite repetitive. I'm glad a book like this exists. I think this is a really important thing to exist. It's kind of reminiscent of Let It Snow by John Green. Is it? I haven't actually read the book, but I did see the film, which I know cardinal sin number one of reading, but it kind of felt a bit like that. We're just following loads and loads of love stories, and there's only so many times you can do those. I would have loved to see an exploration of like different kinds of love, like familial love, friendship, because it was very much a case of like, oh, we're friends, now we're dating. There's definitely an emphasis in media on romantic love, but that's not always the case for everyone. Like, there are so many different kinds of love that you could have for another person, not always romantic. Can we see that represented in literature a bit more? I would still recommend this book. I just think it's one of those things you need to read in like a day or a couple of days, because the longer you drag it out, the more you forget the connections between the characters, which unfortunately I think is what happened to me. But that is finally the end of this video. Unfortunately, we didn't really have many standout books. I think the Sally Nichols one is probably my favourite. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. Definitely do all those YouTuber things like this video, subscribe, comment some actually good Christmas books. Otherwise, comment some kind of like Christmas related emoji, because it is Christmas, pretty much. Like, I don't know when you're seeing this. You may be seeing this on Christmas Day. Fun. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it to the end, well done. I hope you have a very good Christmas period. It's not always the easiest time of year for a lot of people, but I hope that you are doing as well as you can be. And I will hopefully see you in my next video, which should be coming before the end of the year. I'm telling myself that it will be here before the end of the year. Goodbye.